I'm here at the Wildlife Film Festival, and I just got to see A Day in the Life of Lolita by Daniel Azarian. What brought you to making an actual documentary about Lolita?
It was kind of just a happy accident. I had done the PSA, Save Lolita, and it had done a couple of film festivals, and it screened at the Blue Ocean Film Festival in Monterey, California.
I'm sure, yeah. That's where the giant aquarium is,
yeah,
right?
That's Monterey Aquarium. And actually,
Yeah,
that's an aquarium that actually does it right. They don't have captive whales and dolphins.
Right.
And financially, they're doing amazing.
And it's
So
wonderful
it's a
for
great model.
education.
Yeah,
Right,
absolutely.
great model.
Absolutely. So, film festivals like to put shorts and features together with the same theme. So I screened before Dr. Ingrid Visser's film, The Woman Who Swims with Killer Whales. And I was really just amazed at Dr. Visser's tenacity and her honesty, because this festival was going on and people were networking and hobnobbing and talking about their films, and Dr. Visser was in a corner on her laptop the entire time trying to free an Orca Morgan who's in Lago Parque in Spain.
And I totally get that.
Yeah.
You can see that kind of commitment.
Yeah,
but the people that are like her, and we've had a number of them, like Nan Hauser, Sylvia Earle, had all at this festival, they have that kind of commitment.
Yeah.
They eat, sleep, and they completely live the protection of these animals.
Well, exactly, and that's Dr. Visser. She eats, lives, and sleeps Orca and trying to protect them. And there's a certain personality type. It's that kind of in the business world. It's what an entrepreneur is.
Yeah.
They're a risk taker.
Right.
They have a goal and they do whatever they need to do to get that goal, and they live, eat, and sleep that goal.
Exactly.
And
Nothing will get in their way.
Yeah, she is, and the community needs people like her because you're going up against huge odds. You're going up against, a zeitgeist of an entire public that sees things as one way. You're going against a corporation. You're going against money.
You're going against everything, actually.
Yeah. So you have to be really, really strong and tough. And I was kind of hoping that some of her toughness would rub off on me when we were filming.
That's what I was going to ask. How did you make this film without emotionally getting to the point where it would be hard to even shoot this? I mean, even some of the scenes that you had in there where Lolita was bobbing up and down listlessly in the tiny little pool she was kept in. How did you see past that to make a film?
Right. Well, it was interesting because I had been talking about Lolita for 2 or 3 years. I did the PSA and I was researching, but I had never seen her in person. In fact, I had never seen a captive orca in person. So when Ingrid had called me and said, "I'm going to see Lolita, would you like to come?" And that was kind of the birth of this project.
So that's what started it?
Yeah, she gave me a call and she said, "I'm going to see Lolita, you want to come and see her?"
Right.
It was interesting for me because I thought I was going to be really, really emotionally affected. But I will say this. When I did finally get up to the edge of the tank and look at Lolita, and I had anticipated getting emotional, and then you kind of think you'll make eye contact with the creature and have some type of connection. And when you look at Lolita, when she's not performing, she just bobs there listlessly, and it's almost like you're seeing a shadow of the animal that she once was.
Right. A shell. It's a shell of an animal.
It was disturbing. It was, and at the time I was dealing with the production, so when I was the actual emotional part for me for this came during the editing process, because I was actually able to distance myself and watch the footage over and over again. And Dr. Visser said it best with stereotypical behavior. She literally does the same thing. And if you actually go on YouTube and look at other people shooting Lolita, you will see she does the same thing in between shows. And it was very intellectually upsetting for me.
Yet when you see an orca in captivity, you see them just either lying there despondently, or you see what's termed stereotypic behaviours, and those are abnormal, repetitive behaviours. So that might be chewing on the concrete, it might be swimming in a circle.
But as far as Lolita is concerned, her audience of supporters is growing and growing and growing. And I think the New Marine Park, they're a huge organization, Palace Entertainment. They're not stupid. They see the possibility of doing the right thing and making themselves the leader in this. So I'm really hopeful. I mean, you have to be hopeful.
Do you think that there's, that's what we're all about here. So do you think there is a chance they'll realize she needs to be retired?
I think there's a chance they realize that enough people don't want her to be in captivity.
Right. Very, very well put.
And the one thing I also want to point out is when we say release Lolita or release a captive orca into the wild, it's not like we're just going to put them on a boat and throw them off and hope they live. Lolita's situation will be very specific in that her family is still in Washington State in the San Juan Islands. They have a cove that is already designated. She would be netted off. She would be brought to the cove. she would still be cared for by humans, she would slowly be taught to eat live fish again, and hopefully be reacclimated with her family. But if for whatever reason she can't eat live fish, there's an issue, she doesn't want to go out in the wild, in the ocean, or any other kind of issue that happens, she will be cared for by humans for the rest of her life, like she is now, but in a much larger space with the natural ocean, with the currents of the ocean, and at least giving her somewhat of a life back that was taken away from her at 4 years old. An organization can do a lot of good things.
Right.
They can do amazing things, but they can do some bad things.
Right.
And if they were legitimate and really concerned, they wouldn't use the fact that they do some good things as a defense of doing the bad things.
That they do, right?
The difference between Lolita's tank at Miami Sea Aquarium and let's say a tank at another marine park where it is larger is kind of the difference between like solitary confinement and maybe a cell with like, maybe 30 more feet and a sink. I mean, it's still a prison. And one of the things that people have to understand is orcas are the largest member of the dolphin family, so they are dolphins. And they're not like cats or dogs. They are very, very intelligent animals. They're very sentient, and they're incredibly social. They swim hundreds of miles with their family intact. In fact, whale males in some populations will actually stay with their mothers their whole life. So tell me any males here want to live with their mother for their whole life. And it really shows their social ability is so strong. You've heard stories of pilot whales beaching themselves, 20, 30 whales beaching themselves, and one of the theories is that one whale is legitimately sick, and the entire pod basically beach along with it because they won't leave it alone. So it's not just the fact that the tank is a little bigger, it's the fact that she's isolated, she's alone, and the fact that when they are together, they're attacking each other because it's such an unnatural construct from the wild. It's basically impossible to recreate the social and physical demands of an orca in captivity. And I'm not against all zoos and aquariums. I think some animals do well in the zoological setting, but not orcas. When you think about a show, a whale and dolphin show, and Rick O'Barry from the film The Cove said it best, all you're doing is teaching your children dominance, how the human race can dominate another species. Right. And that's what it's all about. It's strictly about dominance. And if you look at a young child when it sees nature, it's not wanting to see that animal do tricks. I think we get corrupted through marketing and through what we're taught to want to see this.
Well, it's conditioning.
Yeah, we're conditioned.
Absolutely.
What's really interesting to note is, and I felt great of this, I grew up in the 70s. As a child, when I thought of whales and dolphins, I immediately thought of them in painted concrete blue tanks, jumping through hoops and doing tricks. And many people of my age probably thought that too. And when you think about it, think of the money that has gone into basically hypnotizing an entire generation to think that is what a whale and dolphin is. Whale and dolphins jump in concrete blue tanks and do tricks. It was only recently till I found out about this, and now through the magic of social media and Facebook and YouTube and Discovery Channel, that I've seen video of orcas in the wild, and that's becoming more and more prevalent. But at the time, an entire industry basically could shape the consciousness of one or two generations into thinking what they wanted them to think so they could make money out of it. And it's a very powerful industry that's able to do that. So hopefully we're in for a change right now, but it's a long road ahead. I mean, you have a small group of people that are diehard marine park fans and they know the issues and they still want to see them doing tricks. You're not going to change them. You have the diehard activist types that understand this is bad, and then you have that whole space in the middle of people that basically, I think, just don't know the truth and don't realize what's going on. So they don't. I think if they were shown or at least knew the truth, I think a lot of those people wouldn't go. I think it would be a no-brainer.
Do you think film is one of the best ways we can tell people the truth?
Absolutely. Film and social media. I mean, social media has been such a game changer in this because you think about it, when a marine park captured an orca 20, 30 years ago, it was 10 years later when we found out.
Exactly right. Now everybody knows.
The permit is basically found by someone, put on a Facebook page, emailed to people, put on Facebook and YouTube. I mean, literally.
And then the comments will start coming.
Yeah. So I mean, and corporations know this, and and especially corporations that do practices that are considered controversial, they really have to be careful.
Right.
And that's why they're hiring these social media departments and social media consultants to try to help them figure out how they're going to navigate all of this. It's becoming more and more transparent. So it's going to be harder for them to do this. And now that most people know, you look at the broken teeth, you look at any photograph of a captive orca and look at its
You
teeth.
do, you see the scratches
And you can
on
see
the
the
body.
rakes of
Yeah,
them
the rakes,
fighting, and you
call
see
it
the
rake.
collapsed dorsal
Right.
fin. I mean, those are three things: collapsed dorsal fin, broken teeth, and rake marks. You know, when you go to see them in a park, you're going to see that. They can't hide that.
Right.
So they have to try to figure out a way to, like, you know, oh, it's no big deal, or, you know, or whatever they have to do. But, you know, those three things, and that put on social media is educating people so that when they see that, they realize, wait, something's not right here.
Right. How about a "Don't Buy a Ticket" campaign?
Yeah, don't buy a ticket. Yeah.
That hit me so strongly. T-shirts, everything. Thank you so much
Oh,
for
thank
being
you.
here.
Absolutely. Thank you, Wendy.
We
It's a pleasure.
love having somebody like you at the Wildlife Conservation Film Festival.